your humor like I do. I'm in my room, it's a typical Tuesday night. I'm listening to the kind of music she doesn't like, and she'll never know your story like I do. 'Cause she wears short skirts, I wear t-shirts. She's cheer captain and I'm on the bleachers.
So tomorrow we'll go to the place that we want to explain, especially about the history, and then the next week we're going to explain immediately to the tourists. Okay, so today we're going to discuss some point. The first one is about the place, which place we will choose to explain, especially about the history of the place. Is there any suggestion from all of you?
Just the Philanthropic place. It is a religious place, right? But I want to suggest you to go to the Horse Block maybe, and the building of London Sumatra. How about you?
Sorry, Yohana.
Alma Mater.
Oh, alma mater. Yes. Yeah, we are going to go there by our motorcycles, but not all of us have a motorcycle. For example, like me and Lena, and also Nisa, right? So, to all of you guys who have a motorcycle, I think you have to choose one friend. You need to pick up. Move to the next topic about our amazing gift. Yeah, Johanna.
What if we bring our online to save our money?
Of course, it's important for us, right?
Yes, Haura. Why do we have to choose these two places? What? And because in London Sumatra Indonesia building, we cannot enter or explore all the things in that place. So I think we're going to explain it outdoor.
Today, we are going to visit two iconic places in Medan. The first one is London Sumatra Indonesia, and then the second one is Horse Block. Are you ready? Let's go!
Got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead.
Cari bulu ayam akan tercantum jua. Lupakan hal semalam, esok pasti ceria. Searakan hari ini kita nyanyi ramai-ramai.
Oh, okay.
And you?
I'm Christina.
And you?
Harry.
Megan.
Ben.
Okay. So this is the first place, and I will, as a tour guide, to explain you this building is London Sumatra building. So no wonder how many colonials realized in this city. In high-crest building are still from standing until now. One of them is this building, London Sumatra building. So London Sumatra building was established in 1916 by David Harrison. David Harrison built this building because want to coincide with the birth of Dutch Queen, is that Queen Juliana. So the original name of this building is Juliana Building, but renamed to London Sumatra building. And the first function of this building was an office of to sell oil palm and rubber plantation of Crossfield and Harrison Company. So this building are used architectural European style and Dutch style. European style can be seen in the shape and all body of this building are full white, and the shape on the window, and Dutch style can be Dutch architectural style can be seen in a long and wide windows like that, and large staircase poles like that in of the entrance. So, and this building in the city is the first building to have elevator. This elevator like a floral icon because the architectural two-bolt elevator with a floral art decoration. And until now, this elevator functional properly. So this building have a unique and inspirable because in front of Medan Square area, and it's surrounded and this building accompanied with other buildings of high like value like Bank Indonesia or Medan Post Office and each other. And this building is the historical site, but no people necessarily see in the inside because so the tourists like me and you just see in inside only. So this is for me. That's all for me.
Very cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss and Mr. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Okay, now we are going to go to second place. You ready? Yeah. Okay, let's go. Let me tell you about the history of Postblok. So the building was designed by a Dutch architect named Simon Snuff from Bergeliga Openbaarwerken. It's kind of public works department of the Dutch East Indies. It was built in 1909 and completed in 1911. Its location is exactly the opposite Lapangan Merdeka, which in colonial times was called the Esplanade, the main open space in front of the City Hall building. Uniquely, the architecture of this building is not completely European in style, like other colonial era buildings in the surrounding area, but also adopts the local character. And this building was called Medan Post Office before, but now it is called Postblok. And as you can see, this is not a post office anymore, but this is an interesting place to visit, I think, because you can do a lot of things here, such as hang out with your family, your friends, maybe with your husband or wife. And you also can enjoy the event, enjoy the food court, and you also can learn about the history of this building, Postblok. And about the logo, look at that. That's the logo of Indonesia Post Office. Okay. Out there. Let me tell you about a unique and also interesting history of this logo, especially about the pigeon. So the pigeon was used by Indonesian army during the colonial era as a means of communication. And the pigeon was very smart and never missed the target to deliver a message. Yeah. And also played the main role of monitoring the colonial movements and also communication between the freedom fighters. But in 1946, the pigeon was shot while delivering a message. Yeah, but uniquely, it still tried to fly. Yeah, and then after it finished its job, it died. Oh. Started from that moment, Indonesian people call it as Pigeon Letnan Anumerta. Okay, and then Indonesia also announced the pigeon as the logo of Indonesian Post Office. Okay, about another explanation of this building and also the history, detailed information about this building will be explained by my friends. Okay, let's go.
Hello, my name is Raihan and I want to explain this bicycle and this pistol. Okay, here we can see that there is a bicycle transportation that used to be used to deliver letters to various places in the Medan. Along with the development of the current era, the transportation in Indonesia Post is motorbike and cars. Okay, next is a description that explains about the post office from the colonial period. The first post office in Indonesia was established by the 27th Governor General of the Dutch East Indies. This is a picture of him, named Baron van Imhoff in Batavia, or now called Jakarta, about 2 hours 20 minutes from here by airplane. Then there is a post highway. In 1811, the 36th Governor General of the Dutch East Indies, named Herman William Daedels, made the post highway, which was 1,000 kilometers long. And here are the first postage and stamp postcard. The Dutch East Indian issue a postage stamp on April 1, 1864 with the image of King William III, used as proof of payment for postal deliveries around 1874. The first postcard was issued. And this is an image of the first stamps and postcard. Stamps are no longer widely used today. However, the role of stamps still remains a medium that can capture special moments, history, diplomacy, and international relations. Thank you.
Very cool. Thank you.
Okay, Vivian and Ben, and I'm Johanna, and now I want to explain what the next feature in this place. So, for your information, within 119 years of the establishment of the Post Indonesia since 1746, the Post Office began to develop and close the company. Evidently, the Post Office has begun to spread almost throughout Indonesia, even remote areas. So, you can see the picture. This one, this is the first the Post Office buildings in Indonesia, located in Jakarta, and this located in Bandung, and this located in Surabaya, and this located in Semarang, and this one, this is the Post Office buildings in this city. Yes, this Medan. So after I had After I had explained earlier, the founders of the Post Office in Indonesia were Dutch. In 1845, the Dutch colonial post office taken over by Indonesian government, which used to post telegram and telephone. So you can see the picture. This is Mas Suharto, and he the first leader in Post Indonesia, in Post Office Indonesia. So for your information, after several changes, on 20th of June 1995, the Post Office officially became to state-owned enterprise under the name PT Pos Indonesia. And over time, the Post Office Indonesia continued to develop and exceed the mind of society. Interestingly, Post Indonesia began to innovate over time. So, for example, the Post Office not only send the letter, telephone, and telegraph, but now the Post Office provide courier service due to the rise of online service, as well as logistic, finance, and education program. This is from me, and now next my friends explain. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Magdalena Mauricio Hotang.
Hello.
I'm Magdalena.
Saya Megan.
I will explain about this. And And this is bisurat. In English, it's called animal bus. Bisurat is a box for temporary storage of leather entered by the sender of the letter. The letter contained here was taken by the postal officer 3 times in 1 day. Usually, there is a certain schedule for collecting this letter, and then we move it to this. This is mesin cetak data nasabah produced by Bratma. In English, it's called Bratma Customer Data Printing Machines. And this machine used to print or record gyro postal officer, such as name, office address, and then membership number. And these machines hinder the work of employees in large companies such as banking, post office, and giro. And this machine also was popular in 1970. And then this is timbangan pegas produced by Salter. In English, it's called spring scales. The scales used to weigh the package weight like to medium and has the capacity to weigh up to 10 kilograms. And then this is mesin prangko produced by Satas. This machine used to print or stamp the value of postage directly on the letter or postcard. So there is no need to postage stamps anymore. Usually include the nominal value of the stamps, the date of the stamping, and the location, the postal officer that carries out of the stamps. And then this is check writer, Lion Brand, used to print the number or value on the check blank. And how to use it: the check blank is inserted into the claim, and the handle is rotated according to the number or the symbols that is to be printed, and then stamp. Okay, this is timbangan Barkel. In English, it's called Barkel scales. Was produced in 1951 with a maximum material 3.2 kilograms, usually used to weigh the package to be sent, and this tool is placed next the postal officer, counter officers. And the next will explain my friends.
Okay, my name is Azmi. I will explain you about this. This is Toledo scales. These scales were made by Toledo Scale Company in Ohio, USA, and imported by NP National Cash Register with office in Batavia Centro. Toledo scales are currently an antique item that is nicely produced and of high quality. This antique Toledo scales is not just a decoration, but also hold many stories about the culture and history of a trade development during the Dutch colonial era in Indonesia. Okay, the next is typewriters. In 1927 was one of the most important innovations in typewriter history. The Underwood Typewriter Company, founded by Thomas Underwood in the late 19th century, is one of the most famous and influential typewriters manufacturers in the world. Underwood typewriters models are often considered the gold standard era in industry. The Underwood typewriters using by journalists, typewriters, and professionals in various fields. Okay. The next is adding machine. Made by Burroughs, it functions as a counting device with dozen buttons containing black and white numbers and arithmetic operation buttons. This machine is estimated to have been around the 1950 until 1960 and used an electric cable is a power source. At post office, there are many stamps with unique stamp. So, for example, this is stamp with stamp on XX Papua, Indonesia. This is stamp with stamp Asian Games in 2018. This is stamp with stamp Harry Potter. You know Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Region Indonesia, Eros Indonesia. This is World STEM Championship. This is STEM with them music legendaries. Okay, thank you.
My name is Alika Putri, if you know it, and then I wanna tell you guys about stamps. So the first stamps appeared during the Dutch colonial in 1864, and then the first stamps in circulation featured a picture of the third King William, and then the stamps were made by T.W. Kaiser from Netherlands, and then it displayed with typographic design. So during the Japanese colonization of Indonesia, Japan had difficulties experience in printing stamps. So the quickest ways out was to printing overlapping stamps that still had Dutch colonial heritage. So what about the first postage stamps in Indonesia? The first postage stamps in Indonesia was issued after the proclamation of Indonesia independence on August 17, 1945. So there are several stamps with Shio stamp, which is the characteristics of the Chinese culture, because in Indonesia there are so many people who are Chinese. So during the new era or the second Indonesian president era, Indonesia had a different stamp theme. The general theme for postage stamp publication during the new era was taken from the national growth and development related to social activation, tourism, arts, and culture. Okay, we continue to this part. Here we call it serpo, the large package scale. The scale is used to weigh the weight of the goods to be sent. Usually the scale used to large package and good weighing up to 100 kilograms. And then there are several themes with folklore theme, such as Nyi Roro Kidul, the story of Nyi Roro Kidul.
Stop it. Get some help.
Nyi Roro Kidul is a supernatural figure who is believed to the rule of the South Sea in Sundanese and Japanese myths. And then there are also stamps with that adhere to the theme of typical Indonesia foods, such as nasi lemak. Have you tried before? Nasi lemak or nasi goreng?
Nasi goreng.
Nasi goreng. Nasi. This is nasi lemak. Nasi. It rice cooked with the coconut milk.
Yeah.
So
it's different.
Yeah. It cooked with coconut milk, and the taste is savory. Savory is gurih. So nasi is rice. So nasi gurih is savory rice. It's served with so many side dish like tempe, potato, or sambal telur. Sambal telur is egg boiled with spicy sauce from Indonesia. Okay, next to this part. Continue to with my friends.
My name is Heri Sastari. I will explain about this. In this section, you can see Belitung Geopark. Belitung Geopark is geological and geothermal site located on the island of Belitung, Indonesia. Exactly on April 15, 2021, the name Belitung was officially included in the Global Geopark. Because of this, the Belitung Geopark
Park became one of the first geoparks in Indonesia to be recognized by UNESCO. Okay, the next in this section you can see Indonesia's cross-border post, or in Indonesia Pos Batas Lintas Negara Indonesia, or PLBN. Cross-border post is a pledge of inspection and services for the entry and exit of people and goods outbound of the territory of Indonesia using a passport or cross-border post. The gathering of the stamp is taken from PLBN in Aruk, West Kalimantan Province, and this is PLBN School in Papua Province, and this is PLBN Montai in Nusa Tenggara Province.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Reach out, touch what was once just in your imagination. Don't be shy, it's alright if you feel a little trepidation. Sometimes these things don't need explanation.